Ministry of Foreign and Expatriates Affairs said in two identical letters addressed to the head of the United Nations Security Council and the UN Secretary General that Al-Qaeda continues to carry out terrorist and criminal acts in Syria executed by Al-Nusra Front, which carried out 2 suicide car bombings in Idlib that claimed the lives of 22 civilians and wounded 30 others, in addition to Aleppo terrorist attack that targeted the university and killed 87 civilians. Syria reiterated in the letters its intention to implement the Security Council resolutions on combating terrorism, including Resolution number 1371 that prevents financing any terrorist act. It also underlined that preventing the Security Council from adopting any stand that denounces these terrorist acts directly encourages the terrorist groups to continue their criminal acts. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov strongly criticized the statements on the alleged responsibility of the Syrian government forces for the terrorist attack which targeted Aleppo University, describing them as repulsive and unscrupulous. In a press conference in the Tajik capital, Lavrov said the terrorist attack on the university is an immoral act, and any talk of Syrian government's involvement is a repulsive one. Responding to a question on the possibility that the difference in interpreting the events in Aleppo could affect the Russian-US relations, Lavrov said he cannot understand how a terrorist act could be a pretext for differences, reminding that heads of many countries and the UN described the events in Aleppo as a terrorist act. NATO Secretary General Andres Fogh Rasmussen stressed that the best solution to the crisis in Syria is a political one, pointing out that NATO has no intention to intervene in Syria. He added that the aim was to reach a political settlement to the crisis there. He pointed out that there is no international consensus on Syria, saying the deployment of Patriot missiles on the Turkish-Syrian borders is pure defensive. Prime Minister Dr. Wael al-Halaqi discussed with the Iranian Minister of Oil, Rustam Qasimi, the mechanisms of cooperation and joint coordination in the fields of oil and gas, and the exchange of oil derivatives and industries in the interest of both countries to meet the development needs and support their economy in light of the economic war and unjust sanctions against them. Talks were held at the conclusion of the visit paid by Dr. al-Halaqi and the governmental delegation accompanying him to Tehran, where a number of agreements and joint contracts were signed in several domains. Minister of Education Dr. Hazwan Al-Waz stressed the importance of cooperation between the ministry and the UNICEF in light of the current circumstances in Syria. During his meeting with the UNICEF representative in Syria, Mr. Yusuf Abdul Jalil, Dr. Hazwan Al-Waz said 60 schools were rehabilitated and 107 school clubs were opened in a number of governorates. The minister surveyed the damages inflicted on the education sector by the terrorist groups. On his part, Mr. Abdul Jalil praised cooperation between the two sides, denouncing the ugly crime committed against Aleppo University. The Ministry of Higher Education and Damascus University observed a minute of silence in mourning of the martyrs of Aleppo University. Minister of Higher Education Dr. Muhammad Al-Mu'alla carried out an inspection tour and was briefed on the process of exams in a number of faculties at Damascus University. He affirmed that the teaching process and scientific research, as well as the set exams, would continue in defiance of terrorism. Damascus University students, on their part, denounced the assaults against educational institutions and scientific cadres, affirming that the martyrs of Aleppo University will remain torches on the road of victory. Army units killed and injured a number of terrorists in operations carried out in Al-Mleha, Douma, Harasta and Daraya in Damascus countryside. In Daraya, the army units foiled terrorist attempts to detonate tens of explosive devices whose weights are estimated at more than 30 kilograms in Al-Shreidi Square. A military source said the Syrian Arab Army restored security to the area of Zor Abi Zaid in Hama countryside after killing the armed terrorists who attacked civilians. Another army unit foiled a terrorist attempt to detonate a number of explosive devices near Hilfaya Bridge in Hama countryside. A Syrian army unit destroyed a number of vehicles and killed the terrorists who were inside as part of an operation that targeted a terrorist hideout in Taftanaz in Idlib countryside. Meanwhile, another army unit inflicted heavy losses on a terrorist group near Ariha Bridge in Idlib countryside. Deir al-Zor airport guards repelled the terrorist group who tried to attack the airport, killing some of the members of the group.